Good morning. Welcome to AVNewsCast.com.
The number one news talk radio program in the Antelope Valley. And
that doesn't look like Angelina.
no, it doesn't look like Angelina.
No.
Bleach.
We've got Bleach. We've got Chuck Simons joining us
Good
today.
morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, thank you.
It is, and I should have reached out to you sooner. But thanks for accepting.
Sure.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna in a second. I'm gonna call Assemblyman Steve Fox live and get him on the line. We're going to talk about his bill, AB 2389, that was fast-tracked through the Senate, through the Assembly, and is now on Governor's desk.
Very nice. Very good.
Could
I hear that's a good one.
represent a lot of jobs for the Antelope Valley.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about a little bit why Northrop is a little pissed off about that bill.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, and so let me see if I can get him on. Yeah, they feel a little bit left out. So let me see how I could do this real quick, and I could do this. I can just let it ring live on the
Sure.
Right?
No problem.
Okay.
What was that? It was one of those European rings.
Sounds like London, huh?
Yeah.
Assemblyman Fox.
Yes, it's good to hear from you, Steve.
Thanks for taking the call. I wanted to have you on the show because I want to talk about, and I know you do as well, your Assembly bill that was fast-tracked, Assembly Bill 2389, which is destined to create a lot of jobs in the Antelope Valley and bring in about $430 million in tax credits over 15 years?
That's what we're giving them. What it's going to really bring in is between $60 to $80 billion in income into the valley.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a whole big difference. This is to make money. Sometimes you have to invest money, and this is our investment. Giving a tax credit to an aerospace company as part of their bid when they bid with the DoD, Department of Defense's contract. Once they get the contract, if they get it, I'm hopeful that they will. Then it brings in all that other money, and that's a real big trickle-down effect. It has a multiplier of, I think, 3.8, and people are going to have $100,000 a year jobs, 1,100 of them.
Ooh, buying houses.
Yes, I was going to say, Chuck, you better get out your house
buying
sign and
houses.
pins.
Now, Steve, let me ask you a question. Now, will this apply to any company that's bidding on aerospace contracts? And I ask that only because I've heard conflicting things. I hear that Northrop wasn't too happy with the language of the bill.
Okay, the language of the bill is basically for anybody, but Northridge is a primary contractor, and some of the others are subcontractors. They wanted a change in the language, but they have longer to put their bids together than subcontractors. So it was a competitive type thing they wanted. But what we did to make it an even playing field is the governor guaranteed that he would also negotiate with Northrop. Northrop didn't come to the table for whatever reason over the last a number of months. We had suggested an idea to go biz, bring business into California. Why don't you look at an existing California corporation and give them the tax credit if they have another component out of state and bring that in? And that was one of our suggestions. And my office met with GoBiz. We connected them with the governor on this issue, and they negotiated for the last several months between the different companies, and this is the program that the governor came up with. And yes, it took till this point to knock out the figures and the numbers. Obviously, the aerospace industry had initially wanted even more. This is what was negotiated with the governor's office. But it still had to get to the legislature. So since we had done the original push and connection, they asked our office, and we basically took another bill, amended it, and everybody was on board. The Assembly passed it 70-2. And the harder part was getting it through the Senate. And we did. It needed a two-thirds vote because it was an emergency bill. And we got it in both houses.
Now,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I know Senator Steve Knight was instrumental in helping you get it through the Senate.
He was helpful. We asked him to talk on the bill. We wanted Republican support. This was going to be a combined effort. Had it not been an urgency bill, we could have just slid it through on the Democratic side pretty easy, but because of the negotiations lasted to the very end, so we asked him, would he at least, carry the bill onto the Senate floor, and we had other support, too, from the Democratic side. Obviously, the Senate's two-thirds Democrat. So we try to include everybody in the process. This isn't one where it's party-oriented or egos involved. This is one that's going to help our community. So we got about, I think, 30 co-authors. We asked everybody we could put your name on it. We don't care if you get the credit. The issue here is bringing the business to my valley.
Yeah, see, and the nice thing about this is, and you've got Democrats and Republicans. At the end of the day, though, this is an issue about bringing jobs to California and the Antelope Valley. It's not a Republican issue. It's not
more than just that. Besides the 1,100 jobs, we speculate it will maintain another 3,000 existing jobs, and it will help 4,200 contractors statewide who supply a lot of the business.
Oh, that's great.
And work on the product.
That's good.
Steve, you mentioned GoBiz, and talk a little bit about that, and I'll tell you why I ask is because, you and I, and we've discussed it on the show several times, but I was listening last week, and I was listening to a Republican senator from California talking about GoBiz, and he was actually on KFI, and nobody at KFI had ever heard about GoBiz. They didn't know what it was about. So explain a little bit about, what that is.
The governor, who does not have a large staff, he's actually slimmed his staff from other governors, established a department to generate business, to bring business to California, and to generate business in California. And it's been named GoBiz. And what the department does is it takes a look, and we've also created California Competes, which is $25 million for the first year, and then the next year goes up to $150 million. Funds in order to stimulate small businesses. Because, as we all know, small businesses are the backbone of our country, and the governor wants to assist them to help themselves and get them going. So he's working on a lot of projects. When we did the Enterprise Zone, it was GoBiz we were working with initially. It passed the Assembly, and the Senate almost killed our area, and I had to go over there and lobby. And so we worked with GoBiz on it.
Are you hearing anything up there in the legislature about the battery plant that Tesla wants to build? I'm hearing...
we are, and what we did is, if you look at our legislation, it was vague enough in one area on the bill that if they wanted to use Tesla and they wanted to make a contract with them, this would also be a vehicle to also allow them. So we've heard some, and we heard there were negotiations, and we shaped our bill just enough that if the governor decided later to make a deal with them, he'd have this bill as a vehicle.
Wonderful. So this just doesn't affect the aerospace. This affects business.
We did. It's primarily geared for the aerospace,
right?
And we negotiated with the aerospace, but there were components broad enough if he wants to bring that in, and possibly the entertainment industry, which has a separate bill which I co-authored. This could also be used for that. So we're looking towards the future. We're looking what else are we going to do in the future. We're not just going to limit it. But this was, I think, a really big coup for us. This is an opportunity to put an aerospace company on an even playing field from California to bring business here. And one of the protection mechanisms in this bill is that they only get the tax credit if the people employed are from California and the business is here. Mm-hmm. So, if they get the contract and they decide not to build here or use the business, they don't get the tax credit.
Oh, very good, very good.
Let me switch gears a little bit. I know that the release of the serial rapist, the pillowcase rapist, Christopher Hubert, has been delayed, but up until maybe the on or about the 21st of this month. What do you hear that's going on about that?
Well, we're doing everything on our side. We're doing everything we can to stop it. We're racking our brains to do it. To get released, they need 2 doctors to give an approval. We found out that we were tipped that one of the physicians may not have had a license that interviewed him, so we filed a complaint. That's one thing we did. The other thing we did is we decided to do an audit have the state do an audit on the state hospital to see if are they really using best practices. Are they really doing what it takes to stop bad people from getting out? And our request for the state audit passed the audit committee. So they are going to audit the hospital, and they are going to audit. They're going to spot check some of the evaluations of some of the prisoners. So we're doing what we can in that area. And then I have a thought for next year that we have a new bill that doesn't allow any of them in anybody's backyards. We have them live out their lives on prison grounds or hospital grounds. Because the current law would have put them in the hospital and would have put them in prison for life. The old laws are the problem.
Now, back in like 2007, there was a sexual violent predator that was released. They couldn't find any suitable housing for him, so he was actually put on hospital grounds in a trailer.
Well, we got one, I think, is in Santa Barbara that's in a trailer that's roaming around. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. You know, that's the problem.
Now, I had also heard that if there wasn't suitable housing for Christopher Hubert, that he would still be released anyway, but we wouldn't know where he was. You know, so
sorry, what?
So I heard that you know the court has to release him, but if they weren't able to find suitable housing, they would just open the door and release him and just let him go anywhere that he wanted to. So maybe it's a good thing that we know where he's going to be.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. There's no question about it, but I don't think you don't want to release. Period.
Right.
And therein lies the issue. I think they have to set the conditions. And if the person's so bad that they need to be looked at, I don't think they can just release them.
Isn't the administrative company, they don't even exist in California, they exist in Pennsylvania that's overseeing his medical care?
Liberty, you mean?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I have to take a good look because I'm wondering if they really check the right housing. I think they're more of a business than somebody that's looking out for us.
Right.
And I have serious concerns about that. Mm-hmm. The whole thing needs revamping. There's about 900 of them that are scheduled for release.
Wow.
And the problem is now they're starting to end their terms under the old laws. And I don't want Lake LA and the Antelope Valley to be the dumping ground, which we already are. We have 10% of the rapists in our area, and we have 2.5% of the population. And frankly, we shouldn't have anybody. At the very least, we shouldn't have 4 times our share.
I love how he's getting such good care, and he's being taken care of so well, yet we have a veteran that got his medical appointment 2 years after he died. Mm-hmm. Where's the sanity in that? Yeah.
They're two different. You're looking at two different, areas, but veterans should have priority over rapists. There's no
Absolutely.
question. There's not even a question on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for all you're doing, Steve. I really appreciate it. You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll get together and talk some more. And again, thank all of you over there for keeping the public informed.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Steve. Have a great day. Thanks for coming on the show.
Care.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. No question about the guy. He's working hard for the Antelope Valley.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And this new bill could be great. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's great for the real estate business. Great for businesses in the Antelope Valley. Great for contractors in the Antelope Valley.
Great for the pizza shop.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Because people don't even think about the very, very small mom and pop store that gets hurt when the larger economy gets hurt. When the larger business goes out. Like when General Motors Van Nuys went out, that whole community changed. The hamburger stand hurt.
Yeah.
The tire store hurt. The gas station hurt. Mm-hmm. The bar across the street hurt. Everybody hurt. And now it's a different type of community, and I'm not sure that it is really recovered from the loss of 5,000 jobs that we're pouring into the community surrounding it. It's a different community down there.
Yeah. I did a little research over the weekend on Liberty Healthcare and what's called CONREP, which is a conditional release program that Liberty Healthcare has established with states all over the country. All over the country. And one of the things that I found out was that, whether it's Christopher Hubert or anybody else, if they're required by law to open the door and release a sexual violent predator, if they can't find suitable housing, then they have to open the door and let him go.
Let him go.
Roam free.
So he
Okay.
just,
Wow. If they can't find suitable housing,
Then they have to
They just-
open the door and let him roam free. Now, a lot of the restrictions that are going to be on this guy are so tough, okay, that I would not doubt that he does something wrong and ends up gets violated and goes to prison again. And I'm talking about, little things. He cannot, from when he's released until whenever, there are certain things that he can't do, okay? One of the things is operate a motor vehicle.
really,
Yeah.
he cannot operate a motor
No.
vehicle.
No.
And at 252nd Street, where's the closest store?
He's going to have to figure that out.
he's going to get on the bus with the kids going to school. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult on this guy, and the LA County Jackie Lacey's office, the DA for LA County, she's got information on their website about ConRep and specifically about releasing the pillowcase rapist. And you can go on the internet and do a Google search for ConRep, and it'll pull up Liberty Healthcare, and you can read all about the restrictions that are going to be on this guy. And they're very, very strict.
Very
Okay.
strict. I understand that he is going to have round-the-clock supervision for the first 6 months,
Yeah, he is.
and that he'll be transported if he needed to go anywhere in the back of one of those security vehicles.
Yeah, he'll have somebody with him
Yeah.
at all times. Okay, he has the GPS. He has to submit to random tests whenever they want to. Okay, which includes polygraph examinations. Random at any they can do one a day. They can do one a month. Whenever they feel like it, okay, just to see what's going on in his brain.
Well, he's a
Yeah, okay.
sociopath.
Yeah.
Who's
And
to
that-
say he can't blow through those polygraph tests?
Well, I'm just saying, okay, and that in and of itself, okay,
Yeah.
just the failure of that can land him right back in.
Well, and isn't there a local contractor working with Liberty to oversee his care as well?
There is a local contractor that's working as well with Liberty, and it's interesting because Liberty negotiated with the homeowner on the land, and again,
Another misogynist.
well, it came down to look, it's just about money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about money. That's what it was all about. And this guy was money hungry, and he doesn't care about the community. He doesn't
Right.
care about people. He doesn't care what this guy did.
And
He
he
just
lives
wants
in
the
our
money.
community. Yeah, and he lives in our community.
Yeah, this guy just absolutely just wants the money.
Yeah.
So, but it's great that Steve Fox is working to
I think
to
it's
try
great.
to keep him in there.
Yes.
That's a great thing, and everybody wants him to stay in there.
It's safer for him, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's just safer
Yeah,
for him.
the people in the community aren't the only ones whose life is at risk.
No,
I mean,
Yeah,
No.
his
torches and
life is at
pitchforks
risk,
and
yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. And Murrieta, what's going on down in Murrieta? You and I haven't had a chance to talk about that at all, Chuck. I know Jeff's feelings on that a lot. Okay, I know what his thoughts are. I wanted to do a little research on what it takes to get a green card. Okay. And the path to citizenship, okay, and it's not easy.
No.
It's not an easy process. Which I didn't know, say you're from Mexico or wherever, okay, and you have a child that's born here. Your child actually can co-sponsor you, okay, to
Right.
get a green card,
And that's a
okay?
constitutional. That's part of our U.S. Constitution.
It is. However, okay, the child can't co-sponsor you until the child turns 21.
Really? Okay.
Okay, which I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Okay, the path to citizenship, Jeff, is not easy.
well, God forbid you be healthy and have a marketable skill. I mean, that's just too much to ask. That's onerous.
See, there he goes.
Oh.
Okay. It isn't easy, and then they have a civic test that they give everybody. Okay,
Yes.
in order to get green card, and it's 100 questions. I would bet you
Did they have it in 40 different languages?
they have it in several different languages.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. And I would bet you that if you stop 50 people on the street, okay,
Yeah.
and grab 5 random questions out of this civics test,
Right.
I bet they would get them all wrong.
They've done this with high school students.
The same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you should see some of the answers that come out. It's like, where did you get that from? It's really amazing that most citizens don't even know what that civics test is.
People are so disconnected. Tim Conway from KFI polled a bunch of people, okay, after our June primary election. Polled a bunch of people, wherever he was, out shopping or whatever it was, to see if they voted, okay? And the answers that he was getting, the number one answer that he got from people, I don't like to vote in a presidential election.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay?
that's so
In
sad.
June.
Okay? In June. Okay?
Wow.
Right.
Oh, man.
Okay? And this election is not about, running for president.
You know, like I
But
said,
that was the number one answer.
I always used to encourage people to vote, but now I don't. I don't. I go out there and vote because I'm informed, and I don't encourage
Right.
most of the people to do it because look what they've done. Look who they keep voting in.
Some of the questions, for instance, in the House of Representatives, how many voting members are there?
I can't answer that.
Okay, I knew the answer to this one only because I just did. I don't know.
Huh.
Okay? It's 435.
All right.
Okay? A lot of people out there aren't going to know the answer.
Yeah.
But you're required to... How many U.S. senators are there?
Well, that's
How many senators per state?
Well, there's 2.
two.
Okay, so you guys got that one right.
Well, because I'm remembering
Yeah.
the 2 that stuck in my mind, Boxer and
Schoolhouse
Feinstein.
Rock. Yeah.
But it's no longer Boxer and Feinstein. It's Pelosi. And is Feinstein still up there? I
Yeah,
haven't paid
she
attention.
is.
The Dragon Lady.
Oh! Ow!
Yeah, she's still up there. Okay.
Yes, Brandon, that is 661-350-1006. You can text me if you wish.
Chuck, what's your take on what's going on in Murrieta? It was. Oh, and Jeff, last week you and Angelina got into a thing about
Yeah, a little bit of a thing.
about calling them illegal aliens. And the mayor of Murrieta, okay, was using that exact language. Okay, illegal alien. He got a talking to.
Really?
He got a talking to.
By?
Washington.
Really? So he actually got on their radar.
And
They're
actually
calling
changed the language on their website from illegal alien to undocumented immigrant.
Is it changed in the law?
Did they not? Well, they have no documents, and therefore they are illegal. And I understand the terminology and the color of the change of the terminology. Well, you're just an undocumented, which gives a softer. It's almost like grandma's cookies. Here, have some milk and cookies. It takes away the sting, but it's still.
The legal term is illegal alien.
They're still illegal.
It doesn't mean you have gray skin and great big black almond eyes. It means you're from someplace else. That's what
Gray
the word
skin and
alien
almond
means.
eyes. I thought they had green skin.
Oh, the grays.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the reptile ones you're thinking.
Oh.
Now, the feds are bringing in law enforcement in riot gear now. Okay? They're pissed off. Okay? They want to be able to use that facility in Murrieta.
God forbid the people
Okay.
have a say.
Yeah.
They're putting up K-rail and they're done playing around.
Right.
All right. They've got to do this, and then also, the White House sent out an email, okay, mainly to Democrats, an occasional Republican, but mainly to Democrats. All right. If there is vacant real estate in your district,
Nice.
okay, anywhere, we're looking for property. We'd like empty big box stores. We're looking for real estate. We need to house people.
Oh,
and we need to house them now.
Like on JN 20th and Valley Central, the old Walmart building?
Well,
Or Kmart.
Or Kmart?
Okay.
Kmart. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kmart. It's close to a hospital.
they are looking for...
Close to a birthing center.
Yes.
They are looking for real estate around the country right now. Okay, they are willing to entertain offers and make bids on real estate. They need to house people right now.
And why is this? Why are we opening the floodgates, so to speak, to allow them to come across when we have unsecured borders? Rick Perry is securing those borders right now with...
You know what? And he has asked for the National Guard. He wants 1,000 troops.
Yeah.
And in order for him to do that, he has to make that official request to the White House.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the second time he's made that request.
Yeah.
So far, he hasn't gotten his 1,000 troops.
Right. Now, back to Murrieta, because I could go off on a tangent, because that's what I do.
Back to Murrieta.
Back to Murrieta. One of the things that does concern me is the immunizations and the disease that we're not ready for.
Yeah, we have no herd immunity anymore to these things.
Right. And that's a very, very real threat.
It is.
The lice, and I'm not saying anything bad against that population. It's just that
It's just a fact.
it happens when you get into these large, and I'm going to say
Tuberculosis.
refugee camp type thing, that you're going to have an increased exposure to disease. And as I was hearing one radio commentator, the Jenny McCarthy's that do not do the immunization, our resistance is lower, or the kids' resistance is lower in the schools. And when these kids come out of these, and I'm just going to use that term, refugee camp, these containment centers, refugee camp, because it's not too much different than what's happening in Somalia and in those other areas where people are fleeing and living in large areas. The possibility of exposure increases.
Well, you know, the disease and the lice and everything, that's going to respect those federal fences. It's not going to go beyond any of that. It's not going to bleed into the community where they are.
That
So
was sarcasm, right?
Yes.
Now, I had heard that if you are from Mexico, all right, if you are from Mexico, you are being rerouted and sent back to Mexico. Okay? If you are from somewhere else, El Salvador, if someplace else, then you're going through this process.
Okay,
all right?
and the mere fact that they are, quote unquote, undocumented, what's to stop them from saying, "Yeah, I'm from Guatemala City"?
Perhaps nothing. Now, a lot of people, Rick Perry, I listened to a couple of congressmen, a lot of people are saying that the influx that we're having right now, that what's going on right now, has a lot to do with the drug cartels. And they're working with coyotes and different people. And some of these people, which I don't understand, but have been able to afford to spend between $4,000 and $6,000, $7,000 a person. Okay. Now, I get that they're coming from a country that may have no jobs and a lot of poverty, and then where are you getting the $4,000 to $6,000?
Indentured servitude once you get here.
Here's where human trafficking comes in as well. And I am not so naive to think that they're not holding family members back in the home state, so to speak, for girls for human trafficking, or even guys for the sex trade. It's
there's one way or another, mules or
yeah.
the sex trade, they're going to get their money somehow.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the
you know,
ugly part of it.
families giving up one family member to stay there in
Or
exchange for.
Or you've got the smooth talking person say, yes, I'll get you up here. And then all of a sudden,
It's assuming they don't lie.
right, yes. And all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to go to the United States. And then, oh no, you have to do this first. We know where you live. We know where your mother lives. We know where your father. We know, you know that little brother? And then they start showing pictures. That is a very real possibility that hits, and I don't mean to be a fearmonger on that, except we've seen it happen in the immigrants from China when they were brought over in containers. We've seen it through all the different cartels, so to speak, and the different crime organizations that have been all over the world that have caused these kind of things to happen.
A lot of the people that are coming over from the Rio Grande, these are kids
Yes.
that are not even with parents.
Right.
These are kids that are between 3 and 4 and 8, 9 years old. Okay.
Which abandonment is one of the requirements for asylum.
Yeah.
So they know that. They shoot them over here without any parents, and they're automatically on the fast track for asylum.
Yeah,
as
and-
refugee status.
And not to mention that, we're human, okay,
Yeah.
just like anybody else,
Yeah.
okay? You can't take, what do you do with a 4-year-old child that has nobody,
Right.
okay?
Right.
You can't just say here and you're going right back in.
Right.
You can't
right.
do that.
There's
What about
no way
our
to send it.
4-year-old children that are on the streets? Why isn't the emphasis put on that? How much money are we spending on this that we could be spending on our own homeless population? I'm sorry about the rest of the world, but we can't absorb it.
Well-
We've got problems of our own that we can't take care of.
So the problems are going to get bigger because we are absorbing this problem. And we have to deal with this problem because we're not going to turn them away.
No. We can't. And we have to educate them because that is also part of our Constitution, our United States Constitution, that we provide an education to every child under the age of 18, between the ages of 4.5 to 18.
That's correct.
We provide a public education, free.
So those of us paying the taxes, paying the property taxes that fund these schools, our children in a 50-kid classroom is going to get what we're paying for then?
Well, that's where we're going to need the federal government to look at different programs and start funding schools again, whether it be in the traditional public school, the charter school, the voucher, whatever, that's going to provide an education for these children, because it is part of our Constitution as the United States to provide for the education for these kids.
Well, it is. Mike Antonovich, Supervisor Antonovich, said just in the month of May, our expense for undocumented immigrants residing in L.A. County, just the month of May, was $50 million.
It hurts to say that as an undocumented immigrant.
I'm trying to use the right term, okay?
No, that's not the right term.
Okay, illegal aliens.
There you
okay? $50 million, okay?
Ouch.
$500 million, $500 million a year. And that's just for L.A. County.
Just for
Okay.
L.A. County. Not the city, that's the county.
It's only L.A. County. Okay?
Right.
That's a huge amount of money.
And people need to recognize that L.A. County is the larger circle, and L.A. City has their own budget that has to take care of this as well. And L.A. City, part of L.A. County. So when we take the aggregate of it all, the city of San Fernando, the city of Burbank, the city of Glendale, the city of Santa Clarita, city of Palmdale, city of Lancaster, the city of Commerce, all of those, that's all separate budgets from the county of LA.
That's right.
So it can just multiply from that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As far as
it's a huge expense, and the expense is going to get worse. But I found it really interesting that the White House is now reaching out to the private sector and saying, "Hey, Mr. Realtor, okay, Chuck, if you have any property, we need to house people."
Well, they haven't contacted me yet. However, I'm looking for that. Now,
Yeah.
is that did you say the occasional Republican? I'm just wondering where the
No.
punctuation is.
No, I didn't say the occasional.
Oh.
No, but they sent the email out to Democrats.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they sent it. Did I say occasionally?
Yeah,
They sent it to a few limited Republicans.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
Republicans are no better.
Okay,
Yeah.
to a few limited Republicans they're looking for real estate.
Yeah.
They see this problem's going to get worse. We've got another group of undocumented immigrants, illegal aliens, that will be hitting Murrieta either later today or tomorrow.
Really?
They're hitting them in Ventura County now. They're housing them there at the naval base. They need more room. They need more room. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And the influx of them coming in is growing by the day.
And now a taxed social service system, such as DCFS, is going to be stretched even farther because of all of these kids that are looking for, well, the kids aren't. Kids are just looking for a future or their next meal right now and a safe place to sleep. But the foster care system,
Yeah, they're coming over with no parents.
They're coming over with no parents.
Responsibility they become, DCFS.
exactly.
Who's already got kids sleeping in cubicles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this
Hey,
is
everybody wants to feel warm and fuzzy, but they don't look at the ramifications of this. We can't absorb it. We can't take care of what we got.
right.
But the only way to stop it is to shut down the border. And we don't have the resources there to shut it down.
No, because they're spread out across the world, being the world police.
Yeah, but that is the problem. Okay,
Yeah.
if we want to stop the problem,
Right.
How much does it cost for motion control Gatling guns?
you come on,
That would do it.
Ouch. Okay.
You can't.
It wouldn't
You
get
can't
used
shoot
after a little-
4-year-old kids.
No?
You can't do that. You know, I one of the things I wanted to ask Assemblyman Steve Fox about, but I didn't have a chance because I forgot, was that yesterday Assemblyman John Perez, used to be the House Speaker, announced yesterday that he has formally requested a recount.
Yes. I saw that.
Formally requested a recount of all votes.
In certain
He's-
counties.
15 counties, okay? 15 counties. A recount just in L.A. County, the cost for just L.A. County is $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Wow.
Okay? The difference between him and Betty Yee, who was a State Board of Equalization member, is 1/100th of 1%.
Yeah, 400 and some
Okay?
votes.
482
4 million.
votes.
That's a very close race.
I'd spend the money too.
But it's not.
Yeah, it's not his money.
It's campaign money.
Funding
It's
it.
campaign.
It's campaign money.
He's funding it.
He is allowed to spend campaign
Yeah.
money.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
As long as it's not coming out of the general fund, then
No.
Yeah.
He's allowed to do that.
No, that's good. That's good. And then he'll account for it, and that'll be good because that's what a controller does: is they look at all the finances. Yes, that's. But $1 million for 400 votes.
You know what? Well, it's.
Yeah.
I heard that his campaign, running for state controller, his campaign budget, he had spent $2 million just to the primary.
Wow,
Only to the primary. Yeah, that's.
that's not a lot of money.
The
for
bigger
for
the
the
office,
state.
the more they spend.
Yeah.
Okay?
How much is the budget to run for something in city of Lancaster or Palmdale? How much do people spend?
It depends. Okay?
Depends on the candidate.
It depends on the candidate and who's backing you.
Yeah.
You know, it totally depends. But this is going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to ask the Assemblyman a question on SB 1263, one that's very near and dear to my heart and a lot of other people, which is the charter school amendment. The charter, not amendment, but the charter school. It started off as a Senate bill from Calabasas. I think her name is Representative Pavley. And recently, several superintendents from LA County area went up there, and she gave full time to the superintendent from Newhall and shut down the superintendent from Acton Agua Dulce.
Oh.
And if we dig deeper, we find out that, she's closely aligned to the Newhall School District. Now, what this does is talks about, did you know that a school board has sovereignty over all the kids in its district?
Sovereignty meaning what?
Sovereignty meaning they can control how the education works for kids in their district. The school board does.
Following what's prescribed by the state of California.
Following by what's prescribed by and which is why they're changing the laws, so that a charter school has to be within the very district, and there are several districts that are turning down charter schools because they do not want them. Recently, there was a case in front of an LA court. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a Superior Court. And basically the judge looked at one of the superintendents. So, I'm not approving this. It was an action that was brought forth by one of the superintendents, and they were saying, we're not going to approve this because basically you don't want a charter school sitting out across the street so that you can look at it. And she postponed that entire hearing until, I believe, in October. So, charter schools and voucher systems, it's all under attack by certain superintendents who are looking to concentrate and tell parents, this is how we're going to educate your children. Not, you're not going to have choice. You're going to have choice within this parameter.
I heard, did I hear right? Acton Agua Dulce, I heard that school district is in deep trouble.
That, the history of the Acton Agua Dulce district has been bleeding off students to different districts. Different districts are taking the kids through the inter-district transfers. When they started to make moves and take steps to get those kids back, there was one Saugus board member showed up, we're going to sue you. He showed up to the board meeting of Acton Agua Dulce, said, you do these and we're going to sue you because you're taking students away from us. Really? These were, what about all the years, the decades that you've been taking the students away from the Acton Agua Dulce district? So there's a whole lot more story than just this little piece. And just like Rex says, if we can have the whole truth in the hearings, we might actually be able to get somewhere.
Yeah, if we could. Did you have a lot of fireworks around your neighborhood, you guys?
You
were out of town.
Yeah, I was
Jeff.
in Wrightwood.
I was
no
in town.
fireworks.
I went down to Santa Monica. I was going to watch them off the Santa Monica Pier. Traffic was so bad on PCH, and none of the radio stations talked about how bad the traffic was.
Did they have fireworks at the pier?
Yeah, they did. I saw them off of Sunset Boulevard. And then Saturday night I went to Irwindale because they had a fireworks show in Racing. And so I went down there. Great fireworks show that didn't set off any fires and banners or anything.
I know Jethawk Stadium had
They had a great fireworks show.
they had a little fire at the stadium there.
It was a banner night for them, so to speak.
Yeah, whose banner was it that caught fire? Do you know?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they and I ran into a couple of people on 4th of July before the fireworks, and one of the comments was, well, the sheriff's department's going to be out patrolling, but they're not going to write any tickets, probably. They did.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, they did. Just from Palmdale Station, 34 citations at
Yes.
$2,500 a pop.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what Lancaster did, but I'm sure Lancaster wrote a bunch of them too.
Yeah.
I still had them going off last night.
Yes, they were going off at midnight last night.
Yeah, I still had them going off last night. Poor dog absolutely hates it. And
Yeah, one of the things that concerned me, and I never thought about this until someone mentioned it from mental health, was the PTSD for the
Oh, yeah.
for the soldiers and for our service people, because in some it's in the bombs bursting in air.
right,
Yeah, PTSD.
if somebody mentioned that to me last night, actually. Yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah, and I was a little had an awakening on that one because when you hear a whole string of firecrackers go off,
Yeah.
it can be that repetition, and just maybe click that button.
I had heard across the country fireworks sales this year were way above last year. DUI arrests just in California were way up 32%.
Wow.
From last year. Just over the holiday weekend, 747 DUI arrests.
Wow.
Okay? 150 DUI arrests just in LA County.
Well, I know that coming back from Irwindale, I got a little turned around, ended up on Baldwin Park Boulevard, and DUI checkpoint. And they said, "Have you been drinking?" "No, sir." And he looked inside, did the flashlight through the car, had the Camaro, and everything was clean. Well, of course, because I do my best to keep my Lugan's Antelope Valley Chevy Camaro clean.
Don't they ask for all your paperwork?
They asked to see my driver's license. Fortunately, I just got it in the mail last week. I got the new one.
And they didn't ask for registration and insurance?
No.
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 Oh, did they scan your license?
Yes.
They did. Yeah, all your stuff comes up
Yeah.
when they scan it.
Had that little beeper thing that,
Which is, I went into a business just the other day, and I was paying by credit card, and they wanted my driver's license. I gave it to them, and they ran it through a little thing.
Why?
And what was interesting is, as soon as they ran it through, my address and everything came right up on the sales receipt.
Wow. Well, they asked for your driver's license
Yeah.
for a credit card.
They did.
Now, unless the law has changed, we weren't able to, there came a point where we weren't able to ask for ID we could look at it, but we weren't able to run it. At one point in retail, we would write down the driver's license number on the credit card receipt, and we were told to stop. I think I was working at Price Club back then, during that time.
Yeah, I know, and I could have called them to taken them to task for that, but I didn't. But I thought it was really interesting that whatever software they had, that they had software that they could pull up all the information right off my driver's license.
I don't like that.
Yeah, they could, some hacker could target that.
Yep. Yeah, because you know how good the businesses are at protecting our information.
Yeah, did you hear the story about the guy up in San Jose that bought the fireworks? He spent $50, went to an outdoor mall, and bought fireworks. He spent $50 on one particular thing, and went to light it off on 4th of July, and the fuse was way fast.
Uh-oh.
Okay, and the minute he lit it, it just went and took his hands off.
Oh.
Took his hands off.
Oh.
And he was a contractor.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, that's going to be an issue. Illegal fireworks are a major problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this wasn't one of those.
It wasn't a safe and
fireworks
sane?
booth.
No, it was an illegal,
No.
illegal firework.
Wow. I don't partake in the sparking of fireworks. Period.
No, they're all over my neighborhood, though. I'll tell you, and they sound like shotguns.
Yeah.
Going off all over the place.
Yeah.
We're gonna have. I'm gonna reach out and have Tom Lackey on the show maybe later on during the week. I saw Tom.
Great.
Saturday, was it Saturday night with Steve Knight for dinner. He had just gotten back from Hawaii. That's going to be, the Steve Knight Tony Strickland battle. Steve Knight ran a great campaign up to the primary.
Yes.
This is going to be a tough thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go right out and say that if you're listening to this show, one, you're doing the right thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Two, you need to get out and you need to vote for Steve Knight.
Yeah. At least he lives in the district. Yeah.
You know what? As a great example, Steve Fox's Assembly bill that we were just talking about, Steve Knight had the same bill, okay?
Yeah.
But he couldn't get it anywhere,
Right.
okay? So Steve Fox got this thing and reworked it and ran it through, and it was fast-tracked.
Yeah.
Not once did Steve Knight say, hey, you took my bill and you gutted it. He didn't do that. What he said is, I'm going to offer you help.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll co-sponsor this thing with you.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's not about who had the great idea. It's about
Right.
getting it done.
Yeah.
Right.
All right? I'll do that. I get it that you need to get it through the Senate and you want it done fast. I'm going to help you out.
Yeah.
Let's get this done together.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's great. I talked with both Knight and Assemblyman Fox at the Greater Antelope Valley Gavia. Greater Antelope
Association
Valley
of Realtors?
No, not Gavar, but Gavia.
I don't know.
The Greater Antelope Valley Economic Alliance or something. I believe that's what it is. I know the acronyms.
Okay?
Yeah, there's so many acronyms. And they were both talking about this bill. And I thought it was great that they were talking. And they were both saying basically the same thing, that they're putting out this bill to help with jobs and with tax cuts. And with tax cuts from the Democratic side, they're usually perceived as anti-business. But what Assemblyman Fox has been doing is he's been working the business angle his entire time up there, bringing jobs and talking about how we can bring business back, which is a completely different perception than, say, 20 years ago, when we had some of these people, it's just part of doing business, so include it in your costs, and raising up the prices. Anthony Robbins, who is a motivational speaker, got a back tax of like $4 million, and he sold all of his holdings in California and split to Florida. And he said that on a webinar to a whole lot of realtors, one of those live webinars in the theaters. He said, you guys in California are great, however, I split to Florida because of the taxes.
Well, Steve Fox needed this bill.
Yeah.
California and the Antelope Valley needed this bill, but Steve Fox also needed the bill
Yes.
because we've got an election coming up.
Right.
Okay? And he's got to have something to talk about.
Yeah. Even if it was fast track, it's going to benefit, I believe it's going to benefit all of the people, not only in Antelope Valley, but it's going to benefit California.
It is. So there's no question about that.
Yeah.
But the primary election was tough.
Yes.
Tom Lackey did exceptionally well.
Yes, he did.
Okay,
Yes.
in that election, exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And obviously the Democrats are worried.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's do this, and this is a race throughout the state. Okay, this is a race that Sacramento, everybody is looking at what is going to happen in the Antelope Valley.
They're watching this even on the federal level.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not just state assembly. Okay. Again, we've got the 25th congressional district, and they're looking at that as well.
Sure.
Okay. And then with California's new top two go and everybody else goes home, Here we've got, between Tony Strickland and Steve Knight, two Republicans running against each other, which seems very odd.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Really odd, but going against each other.
Right. I really thought that Lee Rogers was going to be part of the mix.
It was, yeah, and the LA Times, in fact, even said that Lee Rogers was the front runner before going into the election.
Yeah.
The day of the primary, okay,
Yeah.
they had said Lee Rogers is the front runner,
Yeah.
and they made a big mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big mistake. But somebody else that was running took 9%, and that's
Yeah.
Okay.
okay,
All right.
and that's what
That hurt.
that killed Lee.
Yeah. That's yes. Anyway,
Lee wasn't far enough to the left for that other person, so that's
No,
why he had
but
to bleed the votes.
and however, though, Lee was a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And immediately what he said was, listen, I want to thank everybody for supporting me.
yeah.
Now there's another election coming up in November. There are two guys running, and I'd like to ask that everybody that voted for me, please vote for Senator Steve Knight.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
That coming from a Democrat
Yeah.
saying vote for Steve Knight.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I would have to say that I believe the man has integrity.
Lee
Which
Rogers?
is, yes.
Oh, no
Yeah, he's a
question.
class guy.
Which is so rare for politicians. He has integrity. I believe Fox has integrity. Knight has integrity. Tom Lackey, what he says, he does. He has integrity, and you got to hand it to Lee. He has integrity.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Tom Lackey, not just integrity, he's got a moral compass
Right.
Yes,
that is second to none.
right,
Okay?
right,
There's no question about it.
exactly.
And even Saturday night, I was sitting talking to him about different things. Very easy to sit and talk to,
Yeah,
okay?
My son is just nuts for him.
For Tom,
Yeah.
he's got. I'll tell you, there are a lot of kids, okay, and it's the young crowd. Okay,
Yeah.
there are a lot of kids that are looking to support Tom Lackey.
Our
Yeah.
students
Okay.
here, they got all dreamy-eyed when he
Yeah.
came in.
well, and as he said, if he hadn't gone into the CHP, he was a special ed teacher.
Right.
So, yes,
Well,
he's
so
good.
we'll reach out and we'll get Tom on the show maybe later on this week,
Yeah,
and we'll get back in election mode as soon as we get through the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We'll do that. And I do want to mention that September 18th, the Palmdale Chamber of Commerce, once a year, holds a great event. It takes place at the mall, and it's called Taste of Palmdale. Okay, several dozen restaurants, okay, are all there making food. Okay, for one price, you get in and you eat from every single restaurant. Okay, there'll be music, there'll be a lot going on. We'll talk more about that, and we'll be playing some commercials about that.
that's
Taste of Palmdale.
Taste of Palmdale is a fantastic event.
Have you been before?
No, I've not been.
You got to go this year.
Yeah, but it's a great event. I read all the reviews and say, darn, I should have done that. And when is that?
September 18th.
September 18th,
September 18th, 5:30.
5:30 at the mall.
At the mall, in front of Macy's. We tent the parking lot. All right? There'll be live music, a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a really good thing, so I wanted to throw that out
I
there.
went one year, several years back, a long time ago, and it was at the waste management facility there in Palmdale. And I just found that an odd place to have the Taste of Palmdale.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
What?
Really? I still have a glass that says waste management that I got from,
Okay.
Which
a wine glass that said
Where was
waste
it?
management.
On
Off of Tierra Sabina.
Tierra Sabina.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
They've
well,
got
I went actually specifically because I found that so humorous.
they've got a banquet facility. I just can't even imagine the visual on that one.
Yeah.
And Lancaster Chamber had their installation.
Yes, I couldn't make it. It was at the
the
Hacienda Ranch. Huh?
Yes, and Quartz Hill has theirs coming up this Saturday night at the Hacienda Ranch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Quartz Hill has their chamber.
You're on the board of
installation.
Quartz Hill Chamber, aren't you?
I'm
No, oops. Did I say something bad?
no, I'm going back on.
Oh, you're going back on.
I'm going back on the the board of directors for the Chamber
for
of
you.
Commerce. There's some things that I see that I would like to change.
Have you been to the new location for Rancho Riveri?
Yes, I have. It's not open.
Oh, it's not yet.
No, it's not open.
Where's the new location? What happened?
It's over
It is
by
on 50th Street.
by my buddy Frank Williams.
Yeah.
Great insurance guy.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they were in a new facility over
They
there.
are in a new facility. It's just not open yet. There's some...
Did they move from recently?
Yeah.
They moved from the house.
Oh, they did.
They moved from the house to, I believe, across from, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, Amici's Pizza.
Yeah. No, Rigatoni.
Rigatoni's, yeah.
Yes.
It used to be Amici's. Okay, I've been around too long. Rigatoni's and the post office.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's where Frank Williams Insurance is. Yeah, the poor guy, he had the karate studio there.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 spaces, but they knocked out the wall. And then the karate studio moved, and so he put up a wall in there to do the 2 separate spaces again, and then Rancho Riveri moved in there, and he had knocked the wall down again. But
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, cool. I know we're out of time.
Yes. Thank you for having me on.
No, thanks for
Yes.
coming on.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have Angelina back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was hoping maybe she would have called in and said hello. But I think she's going to be back
jacked up
tomorrow.
from her Prince concert.
We'll find out. If she's not back tomorrow, you busy tomorrow, Chuck? I'll let you know.
I'll be here.
Yay!
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me find out if she's going to be back or not, and then I'll reach out to you.
You got it.
Okay.
I'll be here before my team referral meeting.
All right. Always a pleasure. Thanks for
Thank
making
you.
us the #1 news talk radio program in the Antelope Valley. Have a really great day, and we'll be back tomorrow.